Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So the craziest thing just happened. I recorded this entire video, like 27 minutes of pure fire content, and unfortunately the file ended up getting corrupted, so I'm having to re-record it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to be as enthusiastic as I was before and answer your questions really well. And well, actually, we just have one question today, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah, obviously, I'm kind of tired because I was just saying so much and it's all gone and I'm so sad, but I believe I can do it again and I don't want to not put out a video today, so let's just do it. So the question that I got today, let me just open up my iPad because that's where I keep them. So the question comes from @Charister, and this is how it goes. I want to ask what's probably on everyone's mind. Can you really start from zero and make a steady income through copywriting? So many YouTubers and other people that rely on putting on these videos to get traffic would say what people want to hear. It's like going to want to get ice cream and ask the ice cream selling person if the ice cream is good. I hope you get my point. Sorry for the long comment, but I really value your opinion. Thank you. So I absolutely get your point. And just to rephrase this for those of you who maybe did not get the question, although I feel like we all know what he or she is talking about. So a lot of us get into this position where we want to be self-taught copywriters. So we're talking, that's what it means to start from zero. It's not the traditional path of learning through, university, doing a marketing degree or an English literature degree or whatever, and then, slowly going into copywriting. It's for people like us who are on YouTube, who are buying books, who are reading stuff on Reddit and whatever. And is it possible to go from that to earning a stable income through copywriting? And the main idea here is that a lot of people online say it is possible, but then are they just saying that because they want us to believe in it so that we keep consuming the content, possibly purchase their products or courses or whatever? Or is it actually true and they're telling us the truth? Now, I completely understand where you're coming from because we do live in very delulu times. And what I mean by delulu is just a lot of people are delusional. And the internet is the perfect place for that. I have seen people lie about so much. A great example actually of that is I watched the documentary on Netflix not long ago about the Liver King, how he claimed to be 100% natural and he advocated for eating raw meat, and he showed all these crazy videos of like him and his kids like killing a cow and just like eating the meat there and then, which is, a little bit unusual. And basically he was asked whether he was using steroids because he had a very nice body. And a lot of people were just interested, like, is this something that you achieved naturally, really, by eating raw meat? Or are you using steroids? And they literally found themselves in the same position that you are in, where they looked up to this guy and they related to him. And they kind of thought that the point that he got to with his physique was also possible for them because all he did was ate raw meat and worked out. But then it turned out, even though he went on podcasts and interviews and denied using steroids, it turned out that there were some files that were leaked or whatever. And just so you know, the guy was very, very popular on the internet. So then eventually he had to come out and admit that it was true. He used steroids and that's how he achieved his physique. Now, with that being said, it's very scary to do that. Like, imagine you have millions of people following your content and interacting with it, and then you have to admit that you've been lying about the main thing because people were not there for the raw meat. They were there because of his physique. Like, if he looked different, Like if he just looked like the average person, he wouldn't have so much authority. And this is kind of what happens with like copywriters or gurus online in like marketing or stuff. They show the money, they show the cars, they show their success. It's like their six pack, you know, like they show you that to build authority so that then you listen to what they have to say. Now, before we go any further, because I know what a lot of you will be thinking, I'm not saying that every single person that is mentoring online in marketing or anything else is a liar. Definitely not. There are a lot of really good people out there who put out quality content. No, I'm kidding. I don't think my content is quality. I don't even know why y'all listen to me. But a lot of people do put out really good content and they're genuinely trying to help you. And then there are people who lie or they stretch the truth a little bit to make it fit their agenda. It's kind of like when you're trying to put on a pair of your teenage jeans and they're just a little bit too tight, and then you just squeeze yourself in there pretending that it's okay even though it doesn't look good. But you know, you fit in those jeans. So that's kind of how it works. And I think that, yeah, anyone can be anything they want on the internet. Like literally, you can start a YouTube channel claiming to be whatever and people will just believe you. Why wouldn't they, right? I mean, there will always be people who believe you and there will always be people who don't believe you. But I don't want to go off on like a complete, different topic. So I want to talk about why or like how it happens or what I think led to this. So, you know how when you start learning copywriting, one of the first things you learn is that actually people buy with emotions, not with their logical mind. And this is what happens to not just people in a supermarket or whatever. I feel like actually in a supermarket, you're not emotional. The place where we get emotional is when we are unhappy with something or scared of something, and then that affects us emotionally. Let me just say that as an example so it's easier to understand. When somebody wants to become a copywriter, there's a high chance that something is driving them to make that decision. It could either be their financial situation or some kind of dissatisfaction that comes from their work, their current employment situation. It could be pressure, or it could also be that something has just happened in their life. They went through something and they really feel like making a change. And, their work is the first thing that they paid attention to because that's where you spend a lot of your time. And I think a lot of us these days tend to be unsatisfied with our jobs. So, for example, if you have financial issues right now, that's going to bring up a lot of negative emotions because for most of us, money is quite important. It's one of the most important things. You could say that your number one is family or it's God or it's whatever, but money is going to be somewhere in that top 5 at least. And it's very clear why, and we shouldn't blame anyone because, you kind of need it for everything. Like without money, you're going to be homeless, you're not going to eat, and all the kind of other things that we care about. But also there's other stuff like being successful gives you a status. It allows you to experience the things that you want to experience. It gives you freedom. And all of these things can trigger us emotionally depending on what matters to us more. So if you start from this spot where financially things are off and you're very scared because, I don't know, maybe you're just pulling through, but there's some job security issues and you feel the time pressure and you're scared that you're going to end up, without work, and you find out about copywriting and all of a sudden, like you're in this emotional state trying to move into copywriting. And then you come across content that responds to that emotional state of yours or speaks to it. And that's why when you look on YouTube thumbnails and YouTube video titles and all that stuff, you'll see, and the content itself, you'll see that, yeah, it's either promising you a lot of money, or it's really hyping things up, or it's making it look very simple, or it's giving you a lot of motivational speeches, and it's all very emotional. And then to look at it from the perspective of a content creator, when I put out videos like this one that are quite boring, like I'm just sitting here talking about stuff, I'm not making promises, I'm not doing anything that would speak to your emotional side, like we're just having a chat, a one-way chat. And if I tomorrow put out a video that's very emotional and I make you a big promise and I tell you that I'm going to teach you how to make $10,000 in the next 30 days and you just have to follow my formula or whatever, that's going to perform much better than this video. And that's just the way the world works. So as a content creator, like obviously it's kind of tempting to always do that type of content because that's just what performs better. And you can justify it. Like if the information you're trying to give people is valuable, that's like a means to an end. Like, you know that by dressing it up in all this kind of talk, you're going to be able to reach more people. But if you're somebody who is just looking to take advantage of people because you're trying to get more engagement on YouTube because YouTube's going to pay you, or you want to sell your course because you want to make more money, then obviously you're doing that for that specific reason and that's your main driver. And then maybe you need to make up some stuff, or maybe you need to change the wording a little bit to, you know, make it fit that kind of agenda. And then there's also this other group of people who maybe, like, yeah, they have the success. They don't want to talk about that all the time. They actually love copywriting and they want to teach you that. But then they're pressured into following that same pattern because if they do what they think is best, it doesn't perform as well. And then they don't end up seeing the success with their channel, with their content or whatever. And it's hard to be honest in a world where you have a lot of liars. I'm not sure if I already said that, but I kind of came up with that in my previous video and I was like, you know, this needs to be said again. So it's hard to be honest in a world of liars. And then it's also easy to fall into crowd mentality. And obviously, like, everyone wants success. Who doesn't? Like, if you're doing something, you're investing your time into something, then yeah, like it makes sense to kind of try to do your best. So that's kind of to sum up why some content is going to be a little bit dishonest. And I don't want to be mean about it. I don't want to point people out or anything like that, because I think that everyone has lied at some point in their life, including me. And, you know, whether I do it online and I lie to you, or whether I go outside and lie to a friend on the street or whatever, like, it's the same. It's a lie. The only difference is that if my audience is 1 million people and I'm constantly lying to these people, obviously my lies have a bigger impact. And then it's affecting not just my audience, but it's creating this bubble of lies that the whole industry kind of ends up being defined by. And it becomes like this, like, either you get closer to that, you come up completely against it, or you fall into some kind of middle ground that just means you disappear. So that's kind of what I have to say about that. I do think that there's also another important thing to say, that a lot of people that do post content online and that they share their success and stuff, a lot of these people are being honest. Like, this is literally what they were able to do and achieve, and they're happy to share that with you. And it doesn't mean that they're lying or that you should mistrust them. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Thank you very much. According to the US law, anyway. And yeah, you shouldn't just assume that they're lying unless you have reasonable arguments for that. But then also you should be aware that the way the world works, I'm sorry to say this, I know I'm about to pop some bubbles. I'm so sorry. But I don't want to clip anyone's wings. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm just being a little bit realistic. The way the world works, statistically, a small percentage of people will be at the top. There's going to be the majority somewhere in the middle, and there's going to be a small percentage at the very bottom. Okay. So when you look at the world in general, you have a little bit of the population is super filthy, ultra rich. And then you have like the middle bit, which is basically people that are rich or they're middle class or, whatever. Like, it doesn't really, like, they all have a house, they all have a car, they all have a job, they're all able to just, live a comfortable life. And then at the very bottom, you're going to have a bunch of people that are very poor, like starving. Now, I haven't checked the statistics on that because now I'm thinking, obviously, poverty is a very big problem in the world. But I imagine it's not like less people are in poverty than, the middle class and the rich class. So yeah, you have like the average, you have the very below average. So these are like the outliers, right? The super ultra rich are outliers, and the very, very, very unfortunate families in poverty are the outliers. Majority of people in our current, 2025 live in like comfortable conditions, let's say. So the same goes to, like, obviously, if you wanted to break it down further by income, you would see that you'd have like ultra rich, rich, average, and very poor, or kind of poor, very poor, like that. But I'm just doing 3 categories for now. And in copywriting, it's going to be the same. You're going to have, like, actually, it's going to be the same across every single industry you're going to look at. And you're going to have a very small percentage of people that are very, very rich or very successful as copywriters. You're going to have a very big chunk of people that are somewhere in the middle where they're making money, but they're not making millions, let's say. And then you're going to have a very small percentage of people that just completely failed. Like, I don't know, they ended up in debt or something, And the reason I'm saying this is because the main thing I hear in like online whenever someone is like guiding you, or it's even a part of a lot of courses. Like, I have taken a lot of courses online, and each and every single one of them will have a module about manifestation. Like, I'm not lying to you, it's crazy. Like, I'll be doing like a course about like a YouTube channel, how to run a successful YouTube channel. And there's going to be a module about mindset and manifestation. I did one about Instagram management. There was a module on that. I did plenty of copywriting courses. There was always a module on that. Even I'm guilty of talking about it, but not about manifestation per se, but more about your mindset, right? So it's good to have a good mindset. Like, of course, if you are struggling mentally and you come into anything with an attitude that maybe is full of like limiting beliefs and whatever, then of course it's going to be very hard for you to do certain things. And this is all due to like psychology and neuroscience and stuff I'm not going to get into because I'm not an expert. But then the delusional part of it, like telling people that they can manifest things just by being positive. Like, I'm sorry, I have a bone to pick with a lot of people on that, because then what happens is, obviously it doesn't happen. Like, if you have 1 million people that take your manifestation course and each and every single one of them says, I want to be a billionaire, and then maybe one becomes a billionaire, and then you take that and you say, look, it works. Like, this person manifested $1 billion, but statistically that was going to happen anyway, like, but then the rest of the people, what happens to them? They think that it's their fault that they weren't able to manifest whatever, their heart desires. And then you say to them, like, what? you did the course wrong or you didn't follow the steps or whatever. Like it's I don't think it's healthy. And I think that it's good to be positive and understand, like, yeah, it's possible. Like, it's possible with anything to get to a certain level. Like, I remember listening to a podcast episode from a guy who I don't remember which company he owns, but he's like a big guy in terms of business, not like big, but and he said that he started by washing windows. Like, he was washing windows, he had more clients, he hired someone else to help him. And like that, he grew his window cleaning company. That's the word, cleaning. And then, from there, like, whatever, he ended up being a billionaire, right? Or a millionaire, whatever. But it wasn't that he sat down and he was like, I'm just gonna manifest $1 million. Like, no. But I don't remember why I started talking about that. Well, basically what I'm saying is, yeah, that's it. That's what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Excuse me, I'm back. So yeah, sometimes it happens that you start from the very bottom, from zero, from absolutely nothing, even in an industry or in a job that seems like, who would think that a window cleaner would become a billionaire or a millionaire from window cleaning? You would think, no, maybe he started like that, but then he did this, and no, like, he literally made that one thing successful. That's why I think that you can literally get to that point from, any industry. It doesn't have to be copywriting. You could be a musician, you could be a copywriter, you could be a hairdresser, you could be a cleaner. Like, there are so many different options. And, as long as there's a service and there's an exchange of money, yeah, sure. Like, why not? But then, yeah, just understanding that the place where you're most likely to end up, according to statistics and science, is somewhere in that big chunk, middle part. So just bear that in mind. And it's not to say you can't do it or me saying that's literally what's going to happen, but it's just about being realistic. And then obviously that, okay, how do these people get to that top percentage? And there are a few things, like maybe they have specific skills that allow them to get there. And some of these skills could be being able to find the right people to do the right things to get you to progress and, make more money, basically. Maybe they had connections. Maybe it was just luck. Like, how many times did you get lucky in your life where you met somebody who knows somebody, and because of that, you were able to, do something? Or, I don't know, you won a prize and then because of that, other things happened. Or how many times in your life did you get super unlucky where, I don't know, maybe someone dies, maybe it's the market crashes or whatever, and then you end up completely screwed, but it wasn't anything that you did or didn't do. It just happened to you. Like, things do happen to us as well as we do things, so we have to understand that. Now, it doesn't mean that we should be afraid that something's going to go wrong, because in that same mindset, you could just hope for the good things to come and hope for the lucky things to happen and take opportunities as they come with good faith that, it's going to work out. So yeah, like, is it possible? Yes, it's absolutely possible to achieve what the people are saying to you that you can achieve. But the question is actually whether you can make a steady income through copywriting. So the person that asked this question before I went on this long monologue wasn't even asking if, you can be a millionaire or whatever, but I talked about it because we were talking about content creators in general. Now, can you make a steady income? Of course. Like, I'm a good example of that. Like, it wasn't always steady and it wasn't always good, because for the amount of years that I've been doing it, I am ashamed to admit, I'm joking. I'm not ashamed, but I do want to point out that it took me a few years to get to the point where I am now. It doesn't mean that I wasn't able to live off of copywriting before, because I did the whole time, like since 2019, but it wasn't always steady and it wasn't always as much as I wanted it to be. So I would say that like my satisfaction with copywriting kind of went up really slowly. Wait, I'll do this one. Kind of went up really slowly over like a long period of time. Let's say this is like 4 years down here, and it's just going up very, very slowly. And it's getting better, but it's, you know, it's not like mind blowing. And then something happened at this point here where it just went ping like that. And then since then, it's just been going up like a little bit again, but it's already at this much higher level, you know, but now it's just steadily going up, my satisfaction with copywriting, which relates to like the kind of work that I do, how much money I make off of it, how stable and secure do I feel doing it, because that's a huge thing that was a problem for me before. I didn't feel very stable and secure in it, which comes from like my anxiety anyway. But, you know, it was a process. So for you, it might be like a very steady progress like that straight away. For some, it might shoot up right away and then go down and then go back up and whatever. It works different for everybody, but it's definitely possible. But I would always say, like, just bear that in mind. It's just like anything else. Like, it's just like any other job you are trying to go into. Like, yes, you can make it happen. Yes, you'll have to learn new skills. Yes, it's going to take some time. And your journey is going to be different to someone else's journey. But yeah, just accept that and stick to it. Don't give up just because you feel like it's too difficult or because you don't see the progress that you think you should be seeing based on what people are saying online. But only change it if you really come to the conclusion that it's not for you and you want to do something else. For example, like I said in my previous video, I was going to start drop shipping. Then I found copywriting and I was supposed to just make money with copywriting and start drop shipping. But then I realized that actually I don't want to do drop shipping. I like copywriting. So, you know, it just works different for everybody else and just works different for everyone. And you have to, just use your logical mind and try to kind of stick to that. Like, it's good to have emotions when you're going into this thing. But what I see as a big problem in the community is that copywriting is put on such a huge pedestal. It's like the perfect goal that everyone wants to achieve. And because of that, it seems like it's either a fairy tale, like it's this unicorn, or that it's just very difficult and it's only for the select few, which is not the truth. Like, you can have better photographers and worse photographers. You can have better shopkeepers and worse shopkeepers. You can have better footballers and worse footballers. Like, the footballers you hear about, like Ronaldo, Messi, Lewandowski, shout out to Poland, are like, you know, just a very, very tiny percentage of footballers. But you have like footballers who play in smaller clubs and they're still making a living off of it. Like, it's their job. And it's the same with copywriting. Like, yeah, sure, only a few will be like very, very big or whatever. But you can be somewhere in the other side of that spectrum, and that's also okay. Like, I'm a nobody, but it's okay. Like, I don't need to be like the best copywriter in the world. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't believe in myself enough. Let me watch a manifestation course. Like, I want to be the best that I can be. The best that I can be, okay? So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I hope that it did answer your question, although I did go off on a tantrum, which I'm so sorry about. And yeah, I am very interested in who stuck around until the end. If that is you, I see you. Let me know in the comments, because I'd love to know how many people actually stay until the end. And if you stuck around for 29 minutes, I'm sure you have 5 seconds more to leave me a comment. And then I also found out that actually it's only 14% of my regular audience that's subscribed, which is crazy. I mean, I know like my views have gone down because I haven't been around for too much, but it seems like there are still a lot of people watching me monthly. And to think that only 14% of you are subscribed. If you're that person that has been watching me and is a regular, but you're not subscribed, I have my eye on you. I see you. I'll see you. I'm kidding. But yeah, okay, cool. I'm gonna go off and see you next time.